Er tynd i toppen, men god på bunden. En fandens kalde, men mest i munden. Han lyver så stærk som en hest kan rende. Men Kalle, han er min bedste ven. Kalle har hentehår. Han kilder pigernes hvem hvad hvor. Kalle har hentehår. Han kilder pigernes hvem hvad hvor. Han har skæve ben og forlorne tænder og brænder sit lys i begge ender. Han nyder cigaren til sidste gnist, men han nyder kvinderne først og sidst. Kalle har hentehår. Han kilder pigernes hvem hvad hvor.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Jonas Anthony signing back in, and this time I'm gonna bring you the latest tripwire Rising Storm 2 update from the 26th of February from Yushiro this time again. And what he's talking about in here is the asymmetric part of the game. Now we're starting to move into, you know, the gameplay mechanics in this game. You know, how are they gonna formulate this game? And this is exactly what I talked about with Thes in my first when I first did a video on the launch of the trailer a long time ago. And here we see they actually talk about the different factions there's gonna be in. You know, we're gonna have the South Vietnamese forces, we're gonna have the US force, we're gonna have US forces allies, and that means, you know, that I really hope that's gonna mean that the New Zealanders are gonna be in, you know, so we get the FAL in the FN FAL in. That's really what I'm hoping for, the FN FAL and the M14. That would be so sweet. And then of course they talk about the North Vietnamese, they talk about the Chinese, they even talk about the Russians. You know, what amazing what they be able to play a Russian military advisor. So they talk about the hardware, a mix of Russian, you know, of course, of World War II and hardware. So there's going to be some Russian, there's going to be a lot of stuff from allied, some Americans, perhaps a lot of French weapon as well, because the North Vietnamese, you know, the Viet Cong was former the Viet Minh that defeated the French in the 50s. So there's going to be a lot of weapons like that, and you know, that is very entertaining and very thoughtful. So I have some thoughts I've been doing. You know, what do you guys think? Imagine. And the Americans are probably going to be wearing body armor. You know, the Americans have some sort of flak vests. Are these flak vests going to mean anything? You know, that's interesting thought. Are the Americans going to have more protection? For example, what about the size of the soldiers? Are the Vietnamese soldiers going to be smaller than the Americans? Because if somebody look up the average size of American GI in the 1960s, and then look up the average size of a Vietnamese man in the 60s, I bet there's going to be a difference. And that's going to lead me into the asymmetric part. Is there going to be, like Thes and I talked, I'm going to link the previous, our first video where we talk about this stuff, but are there going to be like different spawn zones? Like you talk about asymmetric, how are we gonna overcome the overwhelming American firepower or the overwhelming South Vietnamese firepower? Is this gonna be like, imagine the commander, the Vietnamese commander being able to, or the North Vietnamese commander being able to deploy his troops all over the map. Like imagine like a cave or like tunnel exits. Imagine there's going to be tunnels on the maps that the Americans are not going to be able to get into these tunnels because the Americans are going to be too big. Imagine something like that, you know, that they can't get into the tunnels. Imagine the GIs having to, you know, search the tunnels, all that stuff. Is there going to be these avenues? I remember when they were launching Rising Storm, the first Rising Storm, they wanted the Japanese to be able to spawn behind the Americans' lines in secret bunkers. That mechanic, they had that mechanic back in the day. So I really hope that or plan to have that mechanic. So I really hope that they're gonna bring in this mechanic. So we're gonna have Viet Cong spawning, you know, on different locations on the map. Then I'm gonna be moving into the video. I know the video has been playing in the background here, but we see the M79 grenade launcher. And for you guys that do not know this weapon, it's the predecessor to the American 203 grenade launcher. You know, the thing you put underneath the barrel and load a 40mm grenade into. And you know, and this weapon was used extensively in Vietnam by the Grenadiers. So it's going to be interesting to see this roll. You know, how many rounds are you going to have in there? Is it going to be a bit of a, you know, something you can just fire away at? And that's where I want to plead all you guys. I saw already in the comments from the announcement, please stop spamming your crying beep about all that bullshit about, oh, MG42 flamethrower, is this gonna be like this? Guys, come on, grow up. If you have a gun and he has a gun, it might be a better gun, but you can still shoot him. So please do not start crying about this. Please, please, please. There is no overpowered weapons. The flamethrower is not overpowered. The MG42 is not overpowered. It's just about you guys putting on your big boy pants and actually engaging the enemy and killing him. It is so easy. Take your gun and shoot the fucker. Yeah. So that was just a rant from my side, because of course the North Vietnamese are gonna have the RPG. We saw that in the trailer. But that was just my first thoughts on this. I hope it wasn't too long. And please, guys, by all means, you know, put a comment in. I would love to hear what you think about this asymmetric warfare and how this is gonna play out. So I really appreciate every time you put in a link, guys. It means a lot to me that you put in a comment. And I really hope you enjoy this. And you know, if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and please put a like in here. I really appreciate it, guys. And yeah, I love to hear from you. So I hope you enjoy this and see you guys another time. Bye bye.